Ever imagine a city buzzing with excitement, draped in flags, national pride everywhere, but at the same time, they're navigating some, serious political hurdles.
Yeah, that's Lisbon, Portugal on October 5th, 2024. It's really a fascinating juxtaposition. The nation's celebrating 114 years as a republic.
Wow.
And simultaneously, you have thousands of runners taking to the streets for the Lisbon Marathon.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just a logistical challenge for the city.
Right.
It reveals, I think, something deeper about Portugal's current state.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today, right? Using these two seemingly separate events to kind of understand the bigger picture.
Precisely. We're going behind the scenes using insights from Portuguese news source SAPO24.
Okay.
Think of it like this. We're watching a marathon runner navigate a city and all its complexities.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with the Republic Day celebrations. This is a huge deal in Portugal, I imagine.
Absolutely. But, and here's where it gets interesting, for the second year in a row, access to the main ceremony at Lisbon's Praça do Município, that's Municipality Square, has been restricted because of security concerns.
Right.
In the past, these celebrations were known for being open to everyone.
Wow, that's quite a shift.
Yeah.
Do we know what prompted this change?
That's a great question. And while the specifics haven't been publicly disclosed, I think it's hard to ignore the potential link to broader security concerns across Europe.
Yeah.
But regardless of the reasons, this change in policy, it inevitably impacts how people experience the celebration.
Absolutely. It's like this tension, between wanting to celebrate openly and needing to prioritize safety.
Yeah.
So in this context, what message did President Rebelo de Sousa convey in his speech?
Well, he acknowledged this tension head on.
Okay.
He emphasized that both the republic and democracy in Portugal are works in progress. He didn't shy away from tough issues, mentioning poverty, inequality, and even corruption.
He didn't sugarcoat it then.
Not at all. But alongside those challenges, he highlighted these enduring values of freedom, pluralism, and tolerance.
Yeah.
Core principles of the Portuguese Republic.
Right.
Almost like reminding everyone what they're celebrating and striving for.
Yeah. A bit of we've come a long way, but we still have work to do, it seems.
Exactly. Now, shifting gears slightly, this year's Republic Day also marks the last one with Carlos Moedas as the mayor of Lisbon.
Right, his final October 5th address. Anything particularly notable in his speech?
It was quite poignant, actually. He spoke about the 500th anniversary of Camões, a celebrated Portuguese poet.
Wow.
And he used Camões' legacy to talk about the strength and resilience of Portuguese identity.
Connecting national identity to a literary figure like Camões, that's pretty cool. But it sounds like the mayor didn't shy away from tougher topics either.
Yeah, you're right. He addressed immigration and security, two issues that are particularly relevant, in today's world.
Right.
He believes that while Portugal benefits from immigration, he called the current approach an open door policy.
Okay.
And argues that it's unsustainable in the long run.
So he's acknowledging the complexities there, like the need for immigrants, but also the challenges that come with it. It reminds me of that marathon route, winding through this city. It's scenic, but there are inevitable hurdles along the way.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Connecting it back to the marathon. And that's a great segue because while the city celebrates, there's another kind of hurdle playing out. And that is the political kind of logjam over the 2025 national budget, officially known as OE 2025.
Okay. So let's unpack this budget standoff a bit. What are the main sticking points?
Well, the ruling PSD party and the opposition PS party are at odds.
Okay.
Especially regarding some proposed tax changes.
Okay.
For instance, the PS party wants adjustments to the IRS Jovem, which affects income tax for young people, and the IRC, which governs corporate tax.
So essentially, the PS party is looking to potentially ease the tax burden on younger folks and businesses.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Yeah.
They've presented these alternative proposals.
Right.
But it seems like the two sides are pretty far apart at the moment.
How so? What's the government's take on these proposed changes?
Well, Manuel Castro Almeida, the Minister of Territorial Cohesion, expressed strong doubts about reaching a compromise based on, where things stand. He described the PS party's position as, quote, excessive.
Wow.
And said their proposals would essentially leave things, quote, almost everything the same. Not exactly, the most receptive to negotiation, it seems.
Yikes. That sounds tense. And we're talking about something as crucial as the national budget.
Right.
What happens if they can't break this gridlock?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting, though. Castro Almeida reiterated that while the PSD won't prevent the Che Party, a right-wing party, from voting, they will not rely on their support to pass the budget.
Hold on, why is that so significant? It seems like a small detail.
Not at all. Remember, Prime Minister Montenegro made a specific campaign promise about this very issue.
Oh, right.
He vowed not to rely on Che's support. Backtracking on that promise could seriously damage his credibility and really put the government on shaky ground.
Ah, I see. It's a delicate balancing act. It seems like every step in this metaphorical marathon comes with its own set of obstacles.
Yeah.
Whether it's navigating political promises or reconciling these different viewpoints on issues like immigration.
It's true.
It really highlights how complex running a country is. Like they are juggling all these different factors, trying to find a balance that works for everyone, you know?
Precisely. And it's a balancing act that's playing out in countries all over the world, wouldn't you say? This mix of celebrating national identity, grappling with economic anxieties, and navigating things like immigration.
It's true.
These are global conversations.
We see it everywhere, this tension between holding on to traditions and kind of adapting to a changing world.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, right? We are looking at one day in Lisbon.
Yeah.
But it reveals so much about the broader kind of like challenges that democracies all over the globe face.
Yeah.
It makes you think about the compromises and tough decisions that leaders have to make every single day.
It's almost like those marathon runners, right?
Yeah.
Pushing through exhaustion, obstacles to reach the finish line.
Yeah.
They embody that spirit of perseverance. You know, something I think we all relate to on some level.
Absolutely. And we all face our own marathons in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Navigating those personal and societal hurdles.
Right.
And sometimes just like for those runners, the key is just to keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
You know, keep striving for progress even when it's tough.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into this eventful day in Lisbon, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
Look for the connections.
Okay.
Even seemingly unrelated events like a national holiday and a marathon can reveal deeper truths about a society.
Okay.
Paying attention to those connections, that's how we start to make sense of our complex world.
It's about looking beyond the surface, right? Asking those why questions and being open to, you know, hearing different perspectives.
Yeah.
And maybe even finding inspiration in unexpected places. Like the determination of a marathon runner facing, you know, those Lisbon hills.
Exactly. So the next time you encounter what appears to be a simple event or news story, you know, take the time to dig a little deeper.
Yeah.
You might be surprised by the connections you uncover.
That's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Until next time.
Thanks for having me.